Well, so on Friday morning, November the 13th, at the Jim Miller Park here, I went in at 8 a.m. as an observer. I wanted to make sure that every vote was counted legally. Because as I was standing behind the line, I was seeing a fella in a yellow shirt and a woman sitting across from him, and I was videoing him, and he wasn't even looking at the ballots. He was just putting them in the bin for Biden. And I was mortified. So immediately, because I had witnessed the fella in the yellow shirt, once I got to go under the rope and into the bullpen, I went straight over to his table. A couple of the people, including Janine Eveler, walked straight over immediately to me, said, "You need to back up. You need to be 6 feet away, pull your mask up." And it was extremely obvious that the people did not want monitors that were Republican, because my badge said RNC Susan Knox. But I said, "Ma'am, I can't see as a monitor to see if it says Biden or Trump if I'm standing 6 feet away." And she's handing them to him, and he's sorting them so fast. And I said, I need to stand close enough that I could actually see if it's Biden or Trump on the ballot and how they're being sorted. They came back over several times and told me, "Do not put your hand on the table, step back. And so I just basically stayed as close as I could possibly stay to still be able to see. There were no checks and balances whatsoever from the time that the ballots were handed to the two people at the table to sort them, then taking them over to the machine to be counted. When the person wrote the number on top and brought it back to the table, the people at the table were filling a white sheet out with the numbers that they say were tabulated, which I believe, in my opinion, was subject to whoever was filling the numbers in. I had another fella that was in the bullpen with me, and his name is Jerry Ramsey. And I called Jerry over and I said, "Jerry, look at this stack and you tell me how many you think are in there." And he said, "Looks like to me at least 700 to 1,000. And I said, "Well, they put 454 on the top." The people had already at the table packaged this up and stuck it in a box underneath the table. And when Janine walked over, I said, I would like for you to tell me that this is 454 ballots, because to the naked eye, I can tell you that there are way more in that stack than 454. And so she said, "The machine said it, so we're going to take it. That's what it is." And I said, "No, ma'am, you need to look at this and honestly tell me that this is 454 ballots." And so the woman, Janine, said, "Well, pull it out of the box." And the woman that reached under pulled out the one in front of it, which was way less. And I said, "No, it's the third one back." And so she pulled it out and put this huge stack up on the table. And I just said, "I think you need to do a recount here." And she said it wouldn't happen. I kept walking around with my black notebook, and what I realized was that it would be smart on my part to be at the tables when they were filling the white sheets out and write the table number down, write what I saw on the white piece of paper, look at the counts for Biden, for Trump. Was it in person? Because they had to circle on the white paper. Was it in person? Was it early voting, absentee, mail in? And so I was logging what they were writing as what they were going to turn in as the count. And I think that the different tables were set up with different precincts. That's what I was told. They saw me walking around doing this, and a couple of the people realized that I was documenting what they were writing down. So they walked over and told the people at the table, if they saw me standing there, they would whisper in their ear. They put their hand on their back and whisper in their ear and say, "Turn it over now." One woman filled her paper out with her hands around it. And I couldn't even get close enough to see because I kept trying. And she literally flipped the paper over and folded her arms and leaned on the box like, you know, you're not seeing anything. And then they would take the paper away. So I couldn't finish my documentation. I mean, so I have all of these that are halfway filled out here, you know, and I never knew where the boxes were coming from, who they were going to, if they were counted once, twice, 3 times. I mean, there was no transparency or system to this at all. It was total chaos. This was the thing. You really didn't know what was actually happening at each table, and they only allowed one monitor for 10 tables. How could I monitor 10 tables at once and not getting close enough to really even visually inspect exactly what they were doing? As we all said that were monitors on the Republican side, there's no way for us to know if it was actually a stack of 10, if it was actually all Biden, if it was actually all Trump. And there was just so much room for sliding over this whole group and putting it over here. I mean, there was no accountability and no transparency whatsoever.